everybody. So I am so ecstatic to introduce to you two of my friends, two of my co-creators on the Flock team, Melissa O'Brien and Holly Sachs. One thing that we have constantly been talking about is, what do I want to do next? What can I do to further my education? What can I do to further my credibility, my certifications? And so excited to have the two of these flourishing professionals, really bad pun, but and also plug for their business, here talking to us about the question of, is grad school right for me? And so with that, I will let the two ladies take it away.
All right. So one thing that I was just having a conversation with them about a second ago is I can't see anybody, but thankfully I can have somebody tell me if, you know, what you guys are saying in the chat. But let me know sort of your thoughts if you've ever kind of thought about any of these. Like, I've thought about grad school, but I can't afford grad school, or I'm too old for grad school. Like, I can't go back now. Or even this one, I need grad school to reach that next level. And I don't know if we're getting any of the chats. It's totally fine if you don't feel like you want to share that either.
I love it. I got a master's now in an MBA program, but rethinking, should I be in it?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes. And we'll talk about that, especially my other half here. Dr. Holly Sachs can tell you all about sort of getting into a program and then trying to figure out if there's a switch or if you follow through or what sort of those steps are.
How to make a bad program work for you.
Exactly. We could do a whole other presentation just on that one. So this is, you know, our presentation is grad school right for me. And we are Flourishing Professional. We're empowering professionals as they navigate the academic and working world. I'm Melissa O'Brien. My background, actually, I have a master's in higher education. I have actually transitioned into human resources. And so for me, I am all about trying to bridge that gap, pull back the curtain, and sort of help, you know, navigate those two worlds. Dr. Holly Sachs, would you like to go ahead and tell us about you?
Hi, my name is Dr. Holly Sachs. I have a master's in education, and I have a doctorate in educational leadership. And talk about being in the wrong program, that happened to me during my career journey. So there is ways to make things work. I am 100% on the academic side. I'm an academic editor as well as freelance writer, educator, and researcher.
All right. So when you're, you know, thinking about graduate school, it's always important, because we have that academic side to us, to share just a little bit of data. So Holly, why don't you take it away here?
So obviously the pandemic has changed these numbers, or going to be changing them in the future. But as of last year, we saw a 19% increase in graduate certificates, a slight decrease in master's degrees, and a slight increase in PhDs.
And we also saw, specifically, there was a report looking just before COVID at international students coming to the US, and there was actually a little bit of an increase, but I'm sure we'll probably see a little bit of a decrease just due to some travel restrictions right now during COVID. It will be interesting to see how enrollment changes. One thing to sort of note is, actually, after the recession in the US, the enrollment rates actually did go up. So if right now, kind of in this similar time, about maybe you're trying to figure out what that next step is for your career, should I enroll in graduate school? You're kind of right around that same sort of mindset that we were having after that recession. But yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what we get on the other end of this COVID world. So here are the 6 things to consider when you're considering grad school. We actually have a blog post on our website with that same name. Because these really are, we've kind of grouped it into these larger areas. You have to think about, you know, does it align with your goals, your time commitments that you have, the finances? I know that's a big one. Cultural alignment of, you know, the program, the institution, its location, your support network going through graduate program, and then the program type itself. So when you're thinking about, is grad school right for me? Is it the only path forward? Maybe it's not a graduate degree, maybe it's a graduate certificate, something that's a little bit shorter, a little bit less money, and gets you that next level. Or maybe it's not even that formal education at all. It's a matter of maybe doing an online course and looking for creative ways to put that skill into the work that you're already doing now, so you can use those transferable skills into, that next role or other field that you're looking to make a change in. If you go to a graduate school program, you're going to get knowledge, you're going to get experience, you're going to get network, which is actually a really big piece to this. But at the same time, we all know you can also get each of these things in other areas too. So it's a matter of figuring out, how does this fit into the vision that you see for yourself, and align with your values, your goals, even your life, family goals, career goals, and just all around happiness. So Holly, you want to tell us about the time commitment that it takes?
I think the one thing that people are surprised about when they go to grad school is the time commitment of the homework and the coursework. It's a little bit different when you're in graduate school versus undergrad, because you have other outside factors that go into it that you necessarily didn't have as an undergrad, like a family, a full-time job. You also have your friends and your internships, and also you have to make sure on top of this that you make time for your health and self-care. So there's a lot of factors that you need to consider that are going to impact your ability to complete your coursework. It can be done, but it's just a matter of really good time management.
Yes, so this is a time to really practice that ability to say no. And that's just, I am somebody who struggles. I'm a recovering yes person. I want to do it all. But as you can see by this slightly anxiety-inducing slide here, doing it all is not really possible. So it's a matter of making sure that you're taking the steps that you need to manage your time, take care of yourself, and meet those obligations that you would have, especially if you're going to grad school. The big one that's probably on everybody's mind is financing grad school.
Yes, grad school is super expensive. But luckily there are several paths that you can take to finance grad school that you need to consider. When people consider graduate school or higher ed, they automatically go to loans. That's true. I 100% financed my education. Oftentimes you might need a combination of federal loans and private loans. There's pros and cons to both of them. We wrote an entire blog post on the different types of funding available to grad schools and the differences between the different loans. With federal loans, you do have to be aware that there's a cap to how much money that the federal government will give you over not just your undergrad, but your graduate. They are combined. In addition, there's grants and scholarships, which are available. You have to look for them. You don't have to pay them back. I would say to start, this is a good place to really start to talk to your institution, because a lot of institutions will offer scholarships and grants, and even different companies, like your company might even offer some sort of tuition assistance along your path to higher education.
Yes, definitely. But read the fine print. Many companies will offer tuition assistance. Just make sure that you are aware. There are a lot of companies, if you don't complete that program or you leave before the end, they may actually ask you to pay that money back to them. So read the fine print, make sure you're clear on the policies that your company has. But that is another great way to fund your education.
Samantha, I do understand.
And, tuition, remission, and stipends. If you are at a place where you feel like you could go to graduate school full time and potentially have, like a research type assistantship, which is kind of a fancy term for internship, but you're given more responsibilities, you could potentially be in a program where that tuition's covered through your work. And then you also receive a little bit of a stipend. And I mean a little bit, but any bit helps, right? And so for international students in the US, you have to also kind of pay attention to how this ties in with the different visa status. So your F1 visa is that student visa. There's the potential for these 12-month extensions for work authorization through OPT or STEM. And if you're on an H-1B visa, you have to also make sure that, because that's that work visa, you have to make sure that you are still meeting all of your working requirements under that. And so that is another piece to consider with the time commitment when it comes to graduate school. Then you also have to think about what fits for you. Just like job searching, finding the right job and company that fits for you, you have to find the right institution and program for you. And location-wise too, if you're looking to move locations, are there opportunities for you to do things that are fun, your hobbies, your interests? Find the restaurants and types of food that you like. All of those things are so important, and part of that whole experience of graduate school. It's not just what you're getting in the classroom, right? I think everybody here knows that it's all about the full experience that you can be getting. And Holly, I want to talk about the support network.
Absolutely. Having a support network is vital to your success in grad school. It's super important to also discuss the decision, go back to school with your partner, your family, your kids. I know when I went to my doctoral program, I talked it over with my husband because it is a big time commitment, and they do have to, like, help you really support through those long hours of studying. Also, by all means, support your friends. Also, your advisors and mentors in your programs are super, super helpful, because they can also help you not only navigate the program, but also, like, they can help write those recommendations for jobs and further education. And by all means, don't forget your self-care.
Yes, don't forget your self-care. Therapists, there's no shame in it. As you could see from that anxiety-inducing slide that we had about the time commitments, there's a lot going on when you're making that decision to go to graduate school, and at any point in your life when you decide to do that. And so, there are so many positives about it, but definitely make sure that you're doing what you need to do to take care of yourself along the way. And now when you get into the program type, there's such a wide variety that you really have. There's that sort of online, in-person, or hybrid approach, especially a big consideration right now during COVID. But even things about full-time, part-time, whether you're looking for a professional program, a certificate, or a master's or doctorate. For example, somebody in L&D might be looking for maybe an MBA and something that's a little more general focused about talent and HR. Or maybe you go a different route and go for the Master of Science that's, at like a tech school that's all about instructional design, and you get to really get into some cool graphic design pieces and putting all of that together. So it's a matter of looking at what type of program you want. And then, is it going to be research or practitioner based? If you're looking for that next step in your career, you might want something that's more practitioner based. And that's not to say that you wouldn't get research opportunities along the way. It's just something to consider that some programs are going to be more research focused, where it's, doing the research and being behind the scenes, and, potentially somebody wants to maybe even be a professor afterward. There's that route as well. And Holly, I don't know if you want to jump in here about being in a research versus practitioner program.
Absolutely. My doctorate was a practitioner's program. It's an EdD, so that is the practitioner's degree versus the PhD. And I discovered after the first semester that I was wanting to do more research and less practitioner. I did not want to become a superintendent of schools. But it was really easy. My advisors were able to work with me to transition my research focus from a practitioner to more of a research-based degree. It really came in the coursework. My dissertation is really where I diverted from being a practitioner to research. So there is a lot of crossovers, and also the jobs that they recommended after school reflected more of a research base instead of a practitioner's base. So you can definitely make it work. Definitely talk to your advisors though, especially if you feel like you're in the wrong program. They might be able to help modify it or point you in the right direction so you can make the program work for you.
Yeah, definitely. Even when you're researching this stuff, reach out to that institution, reach out to their alumni network, see who's been through the program, and get a sense of, what they thought of the program, number one, but two, where are they now? Are they still using sort of that traditional route that you would expect for that degree, or have they transitioned out? I think there's probably a lot of people here who also have a similar background to me of being in higher education and student affairs and transitioning out. And that's a field where if I had even noticed ahead of time that a lot of people were leaving the field, I don't know if it would have changed things. I don't regret my degree. I actually still use it all the time in everything that I do. So it is possible to make all these things work, but you want to definitely consider some of these pieces when you're doing your research ahead of time. And also looking at what that culminating project is at the end of your program. Maybe it's like a capstone project or a portfolio, especially if you're looking to go more into instructional design. Having something that helps you build your portfolio along the way is amazing. You can come out at the end and have it ready to go and hand it on to that next hiring manager and say, hey, look what I can do. So the biggest thing to remember beyond these 6 things that you have to consider when you're thinking about graduate school is that all journeys have secret destinations of which the traveler is unaware. And so we want you to feel empowered on your journey. This is just a little taste of the information and things that you can do your sort of research about where you want to go. But definitely, enjoy the journey. You take the path that is right for you, and we hope that you feel empowered on that journey. Because, again, that's part of our business. We're all about empowering professionals as they navigate the academic and working world. For you lovely friends who have joined us today, we actually have a special gift for you. If you shoot us an email, info@flourishingprofessional.com, it will be on the next slide, actually. We're doing 50% off our consultation calls. And even in that call, we actually go over that goals alignment piece. We talk about those next steps that you're going to take and help you develop sort of a rudimentary plan of where you're going. So you actually do walk away with some tools. And then we're also offering 10% off of our graduate school specific services. And those are a range of things from helping you do the research for like what types of programs might be right for you and whether or not grad school is right for you, or if this is the right time, all the way up to, a full sort of service approach where we help you throughout your application process and getting in, or if you're already in school, helping you kind of navigate your time in graduate school. And then the other thing that we specialize in is helping you make that degree work for you afterwards. So feel free to contact us at info@flourishingprofessional.com. Our website is there underneath at flourishingprofessional.com. We have tons of great information on our blog there. We also go live on Facebook. We're probably most active on Facebook. You can also find us on LinkedIn and Pinterest. So this is the part where I turn it over to Holly and Liz, who are able to see the chat. What questions do you have for us?
Lisa, one of the questions that popped up is, what are the best graduate programs that align best with their L&D career path?
That's true. I actually don't know if I can tell you if there's a best one for that, because one of the biggest things to note, and I'm going to go back to this slide here, is that it really depends on what fits for you. And so, like I mentioned, there's that instructional design program that's a Master of Science degree. And I believe that was in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. That was like one of these top schools for that. And I was surprised even finding that. But they really take an interesting approach to it, where it very much is more of like an IT type style program that's focused for instructional design. The other thing I mentioned is looking into some MBA programs. It's a little bit more general. It keeps you a little more rounded if you're, looking to kind of go learning and development, but also kind of in business. I think L&D is starting to gain some traction as being its own program. I am a Penn State grad. I did my undergrad there, and I was so excited to see that they actually have a program that's housed in their education department that is specifically sort of geared more towards learning and development. So I honestly think it's really difficult to say there's one best program. It's important to remember that you have to separate the name of a school and an institution from their programs, because you may have a really big name school like Harvard or Yale, right? And everybody thinks of those as these amazing schools. But if you actually look at their programs, they may or may not actually be some of those top programs for the specific field or the type of degree that you need. And so that's why it's kind of hard to give you this one solid answer of you should go to, these 3 programs, because it is so specific to what is right for your journey, your path. Whether you're looking for a master's, where that next step is going to be for you. I really recommend looking at that job description for that next job that you want, and then also looking at your dream job, sort of like the 5-year, 10-year space. Look for those sort of common denominators. What are those degrees that they're looking for? And more importantly, what are those skills? You can line those skills up with a specific coursework on the sites of all of these graduate programs. They usually give you a sort of layout of those courses that you'll take. And you can actually line those up and say, okay, do these fit in with that next degree?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Very well said. One thing that I think is also really good, it's a little bit more of a general one, but I think it's really important in terms of what are the things that could interest me. And this comes into a little bit of the career coaching is I want to go to grad school, but I'm not quite sure what I want to do or to study. Any recommendations to find my niche to make a more informed decision?
Very true. And so, yeah, I think it starts honestly with even a simple Google search, but looking at sort of those general programs, then you can narrow it down when you start exploring some of those into, when you look at that coursework, is it more research focused? Is this a school that's talking more about conferences and talking more about publications? Look at the faculty list. They should have names. They likely have photos. They might be a little bit outdated, but you can actually look into the faculty a little bit. these are the people that are the experts in your program that you would be learning from. They would be helping you build your network. So maybe you need a program where those faculty members are a combination of professors who work solely at the institution, and then also some people who are working in their field and teaching those courses. So those are other places that would be great to look at. And then also look at some of the organizations that are, maybe on that campus or virtual. Are they going to bring in graduate students, or are they geared more towards undergrads? Making sure that beyond the classroom, there are opportunities for you to connect and engage with others in your program. You may want a cohort model, you may not. Sometimes cohort models can be a little bit competitive. That's where having that sort of informational interview, but within the grad school setting, with people who are through the alumni network, who've been through the program, can be really helpful to understand, what maybe is the best environment for you to thrive in.
I also think more generally, if you want to go to school, but you're not sure quite what you want to study, this might also be a good opportunity to use those additional resources that we talked about. Mm-hmm. Like, there's plenty of places that have free online classes where you can take a class in different disciplines to see if that's what you might be interested in before you make the commitment to going to grad school. Or even auditing a class out of school is a good idea if you want to get a sense of what grad school is like without taking that plunge.
Absolutely. You can always reach out, see if you can audit the class. Again, reach out to those faculty. They will probably be more than happy to have somebody asking questions and wanting to know more about their work and what they teach and their background. It's a profession just like this one where, we want to help people learn and grow.
So well said. Yes. It is a profession where we want to help people learn and grow. Love it. Well, thank you, everybody. Everyone, you all know now how to get a hold of these two wonderful ladies, and they will be here throughout the rest of the week. And I know that they're going to be checking in, particularly for a flock presentation on Friday. Isn't that right, Holly?
Yes, I'm coming back on Friday to talk about flock and what we did on our co-create.
Wonderful. Yes. Well, thank you. Thank you so much. Excellent questions, everybody. Wishing you much success as we continue down this learning journey.
Yes. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.